Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. So, fun weekend here. It's Father's Day weekend, and my loving, caring, more than I could ever deserve in any lifetime, awesome wife texted me earlier this week and said, "Hey, it's Father's Day weekend coming up. What would you like to do? Would you like to go golfing? Do you want to go to the shooting range? Do you want some time for yourself? It's the High Point Pro Motocross National this weekend. Do you want to go to that?" That is in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour and a half south of us. I spent a lot of time there racing as a kid. I went to dozens of pro nationals down there to watch the pros ride, growing up and through my teenage years and early adult years. So just the fact that Rachel remembers how much I love doing that stuff, that means more to me than anything. But after thinking about it, all the suggestions that she gave me sounded awesome. But I was sick last weekend, so I didn't get anything done. And over the past month or so, I've been hammering out side jobs to try to stay up on my schedule, to try to keep income coming in so that we can keep progressing as fast as we are with the house. I thought, I need to spend time here working. I have a crap load of stuff to do. Stuff's piling up, so I need to be here to get stuff done. So she said, well, do whatever you want. Stay there the whole weekend if you want. I'll keep the kids. You go focus on what you want to do. It's your weekend. So as you guys can see behind me, we got a new sliding glass door. I reframed that opening in. I'm going to be getting some help here in a week or so to get that in, because obviously, I'm not 20 feet tall and I don't have the lift anymore. Josh helped me out last weekend or the weekend before getting our fireplace unit in, so I have to frame in the new opening for that. And then there is just piles of stuff everywhere that need cleaned up. And realistically, if I would just take a half hour after I'm done with stuff and clean up, we wouldn't have this. But I got boxes of garbage here. I got to cut the template face out of the cardboard box here for the fireplace, get rid of that. I got shingles laying around, metal coil stock laying around. I got this broken window that I need to get fixed and put in storage. But I do need to keep chipping away at this framing. So if you guys saw it in one of the last couple videos, for $1,500, I was able to get enough 3/4 inch tongue and groove OSB sheathing, along with glue and nails. And we added the third floor for storage purposes. Maybe we'll finish it later on down the road. Maybe not. Time will tell. Sorry, I'm switching hands. But for right now, if you guys remember, we have those vent pipes from the plumbing, as well as the heating and air conditioning ductwork. You know what? Let me just go up there and show you what we have going on. Okay, so we got all the sheathing down. As you guys can see, we have ductwork here. We have vent pipes there. We have vent pipes over there. There's our attic unit there. More ductwork over here. So I was over here last week, I think, framing this in. So this is going to be the knee wall. Obviously trying to take advantage of every possible nook and cranny. So we made this little door opening here. I'll have to custom make a door. It's not the biggest area, but it protects this vent pipe. Then it gives us places for bins, storage. You'll have to crawl there, but if you remember the garage that I built at my last house, I'm not afraid to get on my hands and knees and crawl around to use storage space. So what we need to do now is, this is a little bit wobbly. So not that it's not secure, it is secured, but we just don't really have anything on this end to secure that to the base or anything. So we're going to get a piece of plywood, shoot it on here. That's going to tighten that up. And then from there, I need to make another wall here, wrapping this corner. We'll make another knee wall there with another access. Actually, I think what I decided to do was this knee wall is going to come down and just meet up with a closet door over here, because obviously we want to put a full-blown door in here to so that we can have access if this ever needs worked on you know, more storage space. So this knee wall will tie into this wall. So I think I actually might start on this wall first. And then we'll have another knee wall coming over here, wrapping down there. Keep this little area open for like some shelving, maybe a bookshelf or game, you know, shelving, just something. So, you know, nothing set in stone other than these knee walls that I'm trying to build. So, we got so much cool stuff happening this weekend. We got High Point, Oakmont, just, man, parents are on vacation and I'm here working. So, oh well, it's what I wanted to do. I'm happy to be here. So for right now, we're gonna get the camera set up. I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning and organizing. I got scraps of plywood everywhere, so we'll get that stuff situated and get motoring. So enjoy the time lapse. All right guys, so I got my plywood nailed on to this little knee wall here. And yes, that is a piece of 3/4 tongue and groove that I use. And if you're telling yourself, Steve, why'd you use 3/4 tongue and groove? Well, because I had a sheet of 1/2 inch OSB up here and I had a couple scratch pieces of 3/4 tongue and groove. I'm basically done with them. Which one do I want to carry down the steps? The 1/2 inch. The 3/4 tongue and groove is significantly heavier than your 1/2 inch OSB, so you know, I figured what the heck, let's throw that there. A little extra support never hurt anybody. Plus I went ahead and I glued the crap out of all those studs and end pieces, and that tightened it right up. So if you're gonna also say you didn't need to glue them, yeah, I don't need to do a lot of things that I'm doing, but I'm still doing them, so deal with it. Next on the list is I went ahead and I chalked out a couple of the lines that I need for these walls. We have this line here. This area here is all just going to tie into this area. I'm not going to run this wall the whole way through. That way, if we ever need to access this stuff here, work on it, clean it, repair it, whatever, we have all that access there. So I chalked a line here for my wall, up here on my rafters, and this wall is good to go. Now for the tricky part. I'm not sure why they did it, but when they were running these rafters, they used 2x8s and 2x10s. Not sure, whatever. If that's the worst thing that happens, I still consider this a win. So what we need to do, I just stepped on a nail, we need to take all of these little cleats and we need to nail them onto the 2x8s right here vertically, and then this area here is actually 3.5 inches. So we're going to take that cleat, nail it on there, put a 2x4 up, shoot that on, get everything down in the same plane, and then we should be good. That way our drywall is nice and even, and then I have a finished area to run my top plate for my wall here, as well as this side carrying over down to that side. So enough jibber jabber, time to get back to work. As you guys can see, I got a lot of lumber up here, so let's go ahead, get it out of the way by using it. Okay, so after a busy morning and most of the afternoon, we finally got all of these rafters patted down to where I needed them to get to. I got 2.5 patted down, and then you can see I got my blocking in for my top plates there for my wall. I used my laser and got my line broadcasted from down here. I got my line broadcasted up to these blocks and chalked a line so I can, like I said, run my top plate. And in case you're wondering why I keep looking at my phone, I have the motocross race from High Point streaming. Eli Tomac running third with a 4.5 second lead. Wow. And it's raining down there, so that's pretty impressive. Anyways, we're gonna take a quick water break and then start working on framing these walls. Now, I'm terrible with angles, so it was a lot of trial and error for the first few rafters, patting those down, getting the angles cut right, because these valleys, not only do you have to figure out your vertical angle, but you have to figure out your horizontal angle. That way your extension mates up nice to, in this case, our LVL joist, LVL beam, whatever you want to call it. And then, yeah, so quick water break, we'll be back at it. Okay, so I got my bottom plate nailed on to the floor down this wall, and then you turn the corner for this knee wall. Now, like I said, this area is going to be open. That way, if we ever need to access this stuff over here to work on it, repair it, add on to it, whatever, we can do so accordingly. So this wall and this wall, I'm going to use up a bunch of my 2x6s that I have laying around. Not that it really makes any difference, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then I have my stud layout all done. So now, with this being a vaulted ceiling here, usually what you can do is I'll be able to do it for this top plate here as well as this top plate once I get them cut. But once I get them cut to length, I can set them on the ground right next to my bottom plate, transcribe my stud layout onto my top plate, pick it up, nail it there, and then I can go ahead and run my studs really quick. I don't have to plumb each one. Now, with, like I said, with this being a vaulted ceiling, I'm not really able to do that, so I will have to plumb each of my studs. Not to mention, we're going to have to break this wall in two, put a top plate. I think these are 12 footers. I could be wrong. They might be 10 footers. I don't know. Either way, if those studs don't reach the whole way up to the peak, then we're going to have to put in a top plate there and then finish our wall off. And yeah, keep going. So my layout's done. The last thing I need to decide before I actually start framing this wall in is where do I want my door. I think we are going to do a full-sized door, 8-foot door, 32-inch wide, maybe a 30-inch wide. But that way, if this upper unit ever needs to be replaced or we need to bring material in or out, we have a big enough door that we can get that out without taking it apart, taking it in pieces. Just a thought. So I kind of think I want the door over here, kind of off to the side, but now I'm sitting here looking at it going, will that look goofy? So a lot of decisions that need to be kind of made right now that are relatively more permanent. So yeah, I need to figure this out. So right now we're getting pretty hungry. Well, I'm getting pretty hungry, so I'm gonna call it, go get cleaned up, meet Rachel and the girls, grab a bite to eat, and we'll be back here first thing in the morning on Father's Day to hopefully get these walls framed in. So I'll see you guys then. Good morning, everybody. Happy Father's Day. So we are back here Sunday morning. Yes, it's Father's Day. I mean, we got work to do. So I told Rachel I'll be over here working until maybe like 1 or 2, and then we'll be home for a cookout and some family time by the pool. But for right now, as you guys saw yesterday, We got a lot of the ceiling rafters patted down to where I needed them to be. We got our blocking run up in the one channel there for our top plate on this vaulted wall. We got our base plate laid out along those two wall areas there. Stud layouts done. Next, I'm going to go ahead, obviously move this lumber that some nincompoop put in my way. That was me. Get this out of the way, get that out of the way, knock this railing off. I need to start with this wall here, so we'll get this wall framed in. I need more blocking in this opening here for our angled wall there. So we'll build this wall, then this wall, and then we'll start down this section. Hopefully get all of this knocked out in a few hours. I bought a projector that I thought was going to be able to link up to my phone pretty easy so that I could watch the final round of the US Open today. But unfortunately, not really happening the way I thought it was going to. So another day when I have more time, I'll fiddle around with that and see if we can get that working. So for now, back to work. Enjoy the time lapse. All right, everybody. So it was a very productive weekend here. Now, this stuff takes me a little bit longer than the normal framer because I'm not a framer. obviously. I pour concrete, but framing is something that I enjoy doing because I do learn something every time I do it. Whether it's working with these angles coming down off the roof, you know, these gables, these valleys and everything. It's always interesting because it's a puzzle. Don't look too close here. That's a little bit butchered, but there's enough area there for drywall to be secured. So in my own right, I am probably a little bit leaning towards the butcher side of framing. I try to be precise and I try to do things accurate, but case in point here, everything's level coming this way. Just whenever I did this wall, I forgot to check to see if it was plumb out here. It wasn't, so I put a little brace in here, shot more nails in. I'm gonna get some shims to help hold this side up to keep this wall plumb for drywall. I learned my lesson on that one, so this wall and this wall are dead level, dead plumb. Everything's good there. And then even coming down here, you know, whenever I was doing this little area here, I'm like, yeah, whatever, this little triangle is not gonna be a big deal for drywall. You know, drywall will cover all this. But when I was doing this side, I'm like, well, you know what, let's try to make this nice. So actually, I need to get blocking in here for drywall now that I say that. So, but you know, stuff like that, I always try to improve and get better at, just so that I can be, you know, a little bit more versatile when it comes to construction, so that in 30, 40 years down the road, when our girls are wanting to build houses, I feel confident enough to be able to help them with whatever they're working on. So with these, like I did over on the other side over there, I had to go downstairs and I cut a 2x6 on an angle. So now these studs come up, and this is nice and plumb here, so there's not going to be a gap or anything for the drywall to bend in on when that gets nailed up or screwed up, sorry. I did do it over here, but it was something that I kind of not perfected, but fine-tuned for this side. This high area here was a little bit of a, you know, taking my time, slowing things down, just making sure all my cuts and everything were right. As you can see, I mitered these studs so that they were sitting nice and flush on my top plate there. And then I am gonna add collar ties in here. I'm gonna come down a 2x8, which is 7 1/4 off my main ridge there. So I took some scrap 2x6, measured down my 7 1/4. There's that. So now I can throw a 2x8 up there, and then we can just start running them there. I do have to finish patting down a few rafters here, as well as a few more over here, and then on this side, hindsight, I might just go buy a dozen or so 2x10s and copy those cut patterns and just throw those up next to those 2x8s, because frankly, patting those things down is not fun. You gotta rip a 2x4 or a 2x6 or something to get it all at the same level. I know they use 2x10s over here, so if I go get a 2x10 and just nail them up next to it, then we should be good. So probably get those delivered this week so I can finish that out. We framed in our door so that we will have access back here to this unit. I decided to go with just a regular 30-inch door. We don't need anything special. You know, there's not going to be any heavy traffic or anything coming in and out of here. I just almost stepped on a nail that I pulled up. But like I said, we need to keep access back here so that we can work on this. This is 5 feet out from the exterior wall here. That way it's a little bit tight, but you can get in here to work on it. You know, whether it's changing a filter. I actually don't even know if this thing has a filter. I'm sure it does. I love learning about new stuff. But then, you know, we can access all of these return lines, the main trunks and everything. And then, like I said, over here, we'll be able to get back there to work on stuff if we ever need it. Hopefully, we never will. But I think that's gonna do it. Just about wrapping things up. Gonna go home and enjoy the rest of my Father's Day with Rachel and the girls out by the pool. And yeah, happy Father's Day to everybody else. So my projector, unfortunately, didn't work for me, but no harm, no foul. It just kept me working hard and a little bit faster than I probably would have. If you guys saw yesterday, I had the motocross race streaming on my phone, so we were able to kind of watch that and you know, keep up on the motocross and everything. So that was neat. But yeah, so with all that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning back into another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. I know this channel is called Gunpowder and Freedom. I know lately, for the past year or so, my videos have consisted of this house, but that is what is taking up the entirety of my free time. So we'll get back to the gun videos here, maybe in the next month or so. I am trying to plan a range day for maybe end of July, beginning of August, so that'll be fun. I got some new targets for that. I need to get up there. This is, as fun as this is a little bit stressful, but all in all, I'm having a blast and I wouldn't change anything for the world. So thank you guys for the continued support. Sorry. I'm gonna go get my weekend started. Have a great day and I'll see you next time.